All right, well, we have moved on from the Dallas Cowboys game on Saturday. Dan Campbell moved on. It is the new league week, and I am trying to get it out of my head, but that still doesn't change the fact that the NFL has plans in place for the Detroit Lions and a way for them. Their entire goal is for somewhere in the playoffs that the Detroit Lions will meet the Los Angeles Rams during the playoffs. Now, in this case, the Detroit Lions are going to host the LA Rams, and no matter how it lines up, the Detroit Lions can be no worse than the 3rd seed, and the LA Rams can be no better than the 6th. So that means that in no circumstance will the Detroit Lions have to travel to LA. We've already done that. Jared Goff's first year with the Detroit Lions. Now it's all about Matthew Stafford coming home, quote unquote home, to play the Detroit Lions. And there is a few ways that this can happen. Right now, we're right on par to play to be the 6th seed, and we play we're on par to be the 3rd seed, and we play the 6th seed Los Angeles Rams. But there is a chance that both the Detroit Lions and the LA Rams can change spots. The LA Rams can go down to 7, and the Detroit Lions can come up to 2. And I'll give you my theory. You guys already know my theory about the 3rd seed versus the 6th seed, but I'm going to give you 2 theories as how I think this thing could play out. Now, again, I want to remind you that this is all about what they can push. There are some things that is out of the control of the referees and some things that are. If you go back to the Seattle Seahawks game of last year, where their sole intention was to keep the Detroit Lions out of the playoffs. We had won 8 of our last 10 games. We were, I think, the hottest team in the NFL down the stretch. Our defense was playing lights out, and their entire goal was to keep us out of the playoffs. And that's why the Seattle game ended the way it did. But I already knew when I saw that they were building us up for something different, for something more. They just wanted, and I have the receipts, man, of me saying that the NFL was asking us to hold on a little longer and let some other storylines play out. And the storyline that they're trying to push this year is Stafford back to Detroit. Stafford is 35 years old. He's got a few good years in him left. We play him next year. I don't know where it's going to be, but we play that division. I would assume that they're going to come to Detroit, the LA Rams, that is. But this is coming from here's why I think that, and I'm going to break down to how this thing could go. And you got, again, I put this out there that it's what the refs can control. If they can't control and it gets out of hand, then it won't play out like this. But this is the way that I think the NFL wants this thing to play back. One way or another, they want Matthew Stafford back in Detroit. So here it is. It's coming from Mike Garafolo. The Rams will start Carson Wentz at QB Saturday against the 49ers, sources say. Sean McVay gives Matthew Stafford a breather before the postseason while Wentz gets his first start in just over a calendar year. Now, if Stafford gets hurt in the last game of the season, him coming back to Detroit won't matter. That's one storyline. Got to preserve him for that coming back to Detroit. But you also have the LA Rams with a chance to actually fall down a seed. But how do they fall down a seed? Well, let me show you. I'm going to show you how the LA Rams could fall down a seed. Now, I have 2 different scenarios here, okay? And scenario number 1 is for the Detroit Lions to move up into the 2nd seed. And we all know we need a Washington upset, we need a Detroit Lions win, and we need an Eagles upset as well. If those things happen, then we wind up getting the number 2 seed. So we need the Eagles to lose to the Giants. We need the Dallas Cowboys to be upset. And then if San Francisco wins that game, then they will be number 7. If the Green Bay Packers beat the Chicago Bears, so it's away from the Green Bay Packers to go from the 7th seed to the 6th seed. If they win over the Bears, the Rams lose, and all these things go like this. So that puts that matchup together here. Okay. So here's another matchup, thing that we can see. All right. Now you might be like, how does this work? So the Lions stay where they are. The Green Bay Packers move up. The Rams actually drop down a seed, and then they have to travel to Dallas. Dallas gets the 2nd seed. The Eagles get the 5th. Here's what I could see happening as well. All right. We get the LA Rams could upset the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. The Detroit Lions beat the Green Bay Packers, get their first playoff win. Either way, whatever happens down here, this team here goes to play the San Francisco 49ers. So if the Dallas Cowboys, no, I'm sorry, I take that back. Okay, here we go. The Rams upset the Dallas Cowboys. The Detroit Lions beat the Green Bay Packers. Okay. At that point, the winner of this team comes to play us. LA Rams, they go back to Stafford. Stafford goes back to San Francisco. So now in the divisional round, we have the winner of this game come to Detroit, play us. We have the San Francisco 49ers host the LA Rams. The LA Rams win that game. Where does that put them, people? In the conference championship. The Detroit Lions, I think we match up better against this team, but we beat the winner of this game. The third seed hosts the seventh seed in the national championship, the NFC title game. Now, that's a bit more of a stretch because you would have to have a seventh seed basically run the table and get to the national. I keep saying national because I got the natty on my mind. Shout out to Michigan. So you've got that way. That's a little tougher. So they have one way or another. They want the Detroit Lions to see Matthew Stafford. And one way or another, they're going to try to make it happen. There's a way. If we get the second seed and they get the seventh, or we get the second and they get the sixth, then we probably wouldn't meet until the NFC title game because the lower seed is always going to go to face the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round. So if we don't meet in the first round, we can't meet into the title game. All right. So it's either going to be, my prediction is that they want it to happen somewhere in the playoffs. It has to happen in either the first round or the conference round. Okay. And it all depends on how this weekend shakes out. We can either meet in the first or we can meet but they want it to happen. And when you watch the games, you'll see this all playing out. This is how it's going to play out. One or the other. The only way, and Roger Goodell is going to be like, listen, we blew it against the Dallas Cowboys. Now everybody's talking about it. We need to quiet them down again. So how do we do that? We have to let things be less obvious. But there are times that they don't care. Like I started off this video with the Seattle Seahawks game. They did not care, from DK Metcalf, with pointing his hands in Jalen Ramsey's face, to Quandre Diggs with the taunting call after the interception, to roughing the kicker, to a personal foul on Jalen Ramsey when Geno Smith ran into him. They did everything they could to have the Seattle Seahawks win that game. And if Stafford played that game, then we would have been going to the playoffs. So anyway, I have moved on from Dallas. I've moved on from Dallas because my coach has moved on. But at the same time, this little section right here has something to do with Dallas. Like, this all is because of that game that I'm really talking about this. But I've been talking about it last year, and I have the videos to prove it. And what happens is this stuff gets forgotten by every team but the team it happened to. So us Lions fans will never forget about this. And listen, I have a bigger chance of being wrong than I have a bigger chance of being right. But this is what I believe that is in play. The Lions are going to be Super Bowl champions in the next, I said 5 to 7. Now it's 4 to 6 because we've moved a year. So by the time I'm 50 years old, I truly believe, which is in 6 years, that the Detroit Lions will win a Super Bowl. They might go before that, but they'll win by then. And they could be, the Lions, check this out. And I'll wrap the video up here. The Lions this is a trifecta they could do. What is this? Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald will be out as well. Kyron Williams, the running back, will be out for the LA Rams. So basically all the offense and the best player they have on defense is sitting out. They're not remotely trying to win this game. So the trifecta here. What happened? Lions win the first NFC North this year. They host their first playoff game at Ford Field this year. The Lions have never been to a Super Bowl. That could happen this year. I have a feeling that we could also win the first one we go to, even if it's against the Ravens. The Ravens wiped the floor with us. But I keep referring to Rocky Balboa, man, because Rocky Balboa is this unforgettable story because of what he was able to do. Even though it's fictional, there's zero truth into it. I think he modeled Rocky after another actual real life boxer. But there's nothing true about the Rocky, the character. But yet 40 years later, we're still talking about it. Has it been 40 or 50 years since Rocky? 1976. It has been 48 years since Rocky's come, and we're still talking about it. That's what they want to see. And that's what your Detroit Lions are going to be. So anyway, I didn't just become like this, y'all. I've always been like this. I just don't talk about it. But now I'm going to talk about it. The channel's not going to become this all the time, but these are just my thoughts. And I'm probably one of the only YouTubers that's going to tell you what I believe. And this is it, that the Detroit Lions will, the NFL wants to see Matthew Stafford come home and play his old team. And just like any other good story, when Jared Goff beats Matthew Stafford to take the city of Detroit to either the Super Bowl or the first playoff win in 30 plus years, that's when that story will close. That chapter, that will bookend that chapter, because Stafford don't have a lot of years left, and I could see him retiring year after next. He said he still wants to play for 3 years or something like that. This is year one. So will the Rams move on from him? I don't know, but that window of opportunity for this to happen is closing, because he'll go somewhere else and it won't matter. So anyway, you guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.